Good evening, welcome to our cinema, welcome to the festival. I'm Varia.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for this wonderful, wonderful special film. I have invited also the public in Še enkrat vas vabim to participate in the talk. But let us perhaps start us. I would like to ask you, as this film deals so much also with the nature of film itself, with its realness in capturing the reality and in the truth that is captured. Have you been thinking about this nature of cinema before you made this film? Have you been working with this before? Or is it something that came in the process of making this film?
Not really. I've worked for a long time as a film critic, so I was watching a lot of films and reading about film and all that sort of thing. And I'm also I'm trained as a historian, so for me that combination is very present in this movie. And you know, you would want it to be possible for other times in history that the movie camera was already invented, because it gives you, of course, something that no other art form, in my opinion, can do. And especially with this kind of amateur footage that didn't have, it wasn't propaganda in any way, it's not journalistic, it's not even artistic. It's just like we pressed play and we can see now, so many years later, we have somehow a window opening on this town.
The nature of amateur films is even more pure and true, we could say.
Yes, yes, because there's less layers you would have to peel off. Of course, nothing is really representing reality. That's not really possible. But here we get quite close, I have the impression.
Would you let us know how you started, or when did you decide to make a film about the book you probably read and the footage you saw, of course?
No, it was slightly different. I saw it, I heard about it for the first time on Facebook, actually. So the algorithm of Facebook brought me to a post about this book, 3 Minutes Lengthening. It's 3 Minutes in Poland, written by Glenn Kurtz, who you hear in the film. And immediately it said also that you could watch that footage, as you still can today, on the website of the Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington. And it really piqued my interest, so I went over there to watch it, and I was very immediately fascinated and mesmerized by the footage. And then I already thought, would it not be great? Because 3 minutes is long, it's all we have, but at the same time, it's really short. Wouldn't it be great if we could make this experience of engaging with this part of history somehow longer? But I wasn't working as a filmmaker, so I didn't do anything really with this idea until the film festival in Rotterdam asked me if I wanted to make a video essay for the Critics' Choice. And then I thought, hey, this is my chance. Let's ask if it's okay if I don't do something about a contemporary fiction film, as is mostly the case with this kind of video essays, but can I do something with this footage? And they said, okay, go and try. And that was the beginning. I contacted Glenn, and this was all way back when, in 2015. So after that, we worked for a long time to get it right.
But did you have, at the beginning, at least the slightest idea how the film will turn out? Because probably the filmmaking and the research was the same process, or the
yes. No, I immediately, before I started, I knew I only wanted to show the footage the old footage and don't add anything. No, not the way it looks now or any talking heads and so on. I thought that the film is the focus. So let's see if we can get there by really making the film the subject of my documentary or essay, and then see how far we get with this idea. And often, of course, when you have a starting point, you have to readjust along the way. But here, the starting point stayed for me strong enough to keep going along this road.
I will ask the public if they have any questions in this time. Ima kdo kakšno vprašanje mogoče?
Hello.
The,
Is there any information that didn't end up making it in this documentary that you believe would be useful to share?
well, because it was really like a culture that was erased. So there's not every small thing of information we found felt already like a small victory. So in that sense, we've tried a lot of things. In all my naivety, I thought, okay, if you find a lip reader who can lip read Yiddish, we can know what the people are. And two lip readers, but they both said the fragments are too short or too blurry to say with any certainty what they were saying. So we had a lot of these kind of dead ends. Yeah.
There was another question.
Yeah, if you're interested in more history about this town, for instance, how Mr. Chandler managed to survive in Poland, I highly recommend to read Glenn Kurt's book 3 Minutes in Poland, because of the nature how film and writing differ. There's much more information you can give in a book than in a film, of course. And I tried to give only information that had a direct link to what we are seeing. That was one of my guiding principles for the editing.
Thank you so much for the film. It's really amazing to see it and to learn this story, because without this film we definitely wouldn't know, about this place so much as we know now. And I really wonder how you organize the work on narrative. Like, how did you build it before editing the picture or after, and how you decided basically, like, who will tell this story?
I think there were a lot of things that an error. We had all the pieces of the puzzle, and then how are we putting it together? To find the right rhythm, because of course you want to treat the material with a lot of respect. So when you stray too far away from it, the film starts to say, no, this is not the right path to follow. So we stayed much closer to the original images than I initially would have thought. And then it's just like, what information do you tell first? What do you say for a bit later? How can you keep, because that was, of course, with a thing like this, it could have become boring quite quickly. So, and that would have done the material a big disservice, of course. So that we had to be very keen for that not to happen.
Thank you so much. And
but
also,
really, it was a process of trial and error. I think that's why we worked for such a long time on it, because then we try something, think about it, going back to it, think, this doesn't, could be a little better, and really trying to find the right shape and rhythm for it.
Thank you so much. And also I have a question regarding this piece of 3D model that you decided to include in the film, even though now you told that you wanted to show only footage from original video. So why did you decide to include this piece of 3D model?
Well, I think that it's always good for a film to have one kind of like element that you do not immediately expect. And of course, the 3D model is extremely closely based on the footage. It's not something thought up. It's kind of like a translation a bit in a different medium. And I have a 13-year-old son, and he plays a lot of video games and interacts with the world through this kind of images. So I thought, what would happen in such a medium? That was a question I had. So I thought that could be something, how can you do you have to try to give this kind of footage a new kind of look? You have, for instance, about, the Anne Frank story, we have had a play of it, and now there's an animated movie and so on. So that kind of things are all the time changing. So I wanted to alert you to that possibility.
I would like to ask that probably while making the film, that probably you went to Poland, you went to Nashelsk, have you?
Yes.
And as I don't know in which phase of your research you did, was it a strange, did you, before you went there, have a feeling of connection with the place, or more with the people, or more with the place? And when you came there, was it, what were your feelings anyway?
Well, when I came there for the first time, it was really a feeling of loss and sadness, because there is, let's say, no one from the people that survived, no one stayed in Nashelsk, so there's no Jewish people in that town anymore. And also, all the rest of their history is invisible, let's say. So that felt kind of like, how is this possible? I come from Amsterdam, where also the majority of the Jewish population was deported and murdered. But there's a lot of monuments everywhere. So if you're in the town, you kind of cannot miss what you can, but there's a lot of monuments and plaques, and that history is kind of still part of the city. And in Nashelsk, this was not the case at all. So that gave me a strange feeling, because you see those houses that you see in the film, that part of the square, that still exists. Only for the rest, everything, different people, different history, different culture, everything else was gone. But now, when the film was finished, we were invited by a film festival in Poland, in Warsaw. And then I asked them, okay, we want to come, but could you also organize a screening in Nashelsk itself? And they said, yes, we can Nashelsk now, in a cinema that already existed in 1938. And is very, 100 meters from the square that was filmed. So that was a very special screening. And then also because Glenn and a lot of other descendants from the Jewish inhabitants of Nashelsk, the cemetery, the stones were taken away by the Nazis, but the place is still there. So that day when we showed the film, there was also a memorial placed at the cemetery. There was a lot of children are now learning about the Jewish history of their town, which is in a way, of course, also their heritage. And then there was a school class that showed us around in Jewish Nashelsk, which was really incredibly special. So that feeling that I had when I went there the first time has now changed tremendously.
Yeah, it's something actually that we get to know through your film also. It also lets us know a little bit about the contemporary feeling in Poland, or could be wider, yeah. Mogoče še kakšno vprašanje?
Thank you. Incredible film. Probably now it's the right moment to ask, how did the people from Nashelsk perceive your film, and also the Poland itself? What were the responses? Because we know about the contemporary anti-Semitism in Poland and the new law that prevent people to dig up or to speak about Auschwitz being a Polish concentration camp, things like that. Thank you.
Well, it wasn't, of course. It was a German killing center in Poland. So let's make that clear. Yes, of course, this is a very tense part of history, and also for that reason, I'm very happy that in Nashelsk itself, at least, now they are embracing that part of their history. The mayor is a very enthusiastic and active participant who, the other day, the Dutch ambassador, without my knowing, but the Dutch ambassador went to Nashelsk and she was shown around. There's now in the little museum there is now also information about the Jewish history in Nashelsk, and there are some very good organizations in Poland who try to to work with this part of Polish history, but yeah, it's not easy everywhere, let's say that.
Thanks. Perhaps to go back to the film, you have also decided to use some of original music made for the. How did you find the music that you found right for the film?
Yeah, that for me was amazing, as it is also said in the film. There was a kind of bar, restaurant in the town where they did dancing in the weekends, and they would have the music from the BBC over the radio, which in the 30s you had this big orchestras that played, and then it was broadcasted from London or Liverpool to the whole world, BBC World Service. And of course, the radio times of those days still exist, so you could just look up what were they playing then. And one of the survivors, not Mr. Chandler, but Mr. Glodek, mentioned one band, Bert Ambrose Orchestra. So I was looking, okay, buying a CD of this guy, and what was he playing? And then you find this song that was called Chasing Shadows, which is weirdly appropriate, of course. And then you have that feeling, oh my God, the film is silent, of course, but now we can put sound that I can, for let's say 80%, be certain that was heard there at that time, can bring it together. That felt really magical. And the same with the Jewish cantor you hear. That's also a possibility that everyone was going into the synagogue to hear him. And we don't have images from inside the synagogue, but that's okay. Then we get as close to the synagogue as we can, and we let the music of Anainu, of one of those religious songs, play. And for the rest, I asked him, very good young Dutch composer to make music for the film.
But also you have a very interesting usage of sound, because the sound was recorded now, of course,
Yes.
but it was recorded on location, or?
Yes. Yeah. Of course. They also, you hear the in the beginning you hear the car door close, and that is of course something that comes from their vast archive of doors of cars closing. You say, oh, that's a kind of car from the 30s. Oh, we have here 10 cars from the 30s, which, that is how you build it. But when you also hear the sound that was actually recorded in Nashelsk.
Mogoče še kakšno vprašanje iz publike? Perhaps we shall now wrap this talk. I have another question. Helena Bonham Carter, how did she come into this story?
Well, I was looking for a voice that could be, let's say, the kind of narrator or the partner of Glenn and the other people you hear speaking. And I wanted it to be a beautiful voice. She has a very beautiful voice, and also someone who could do it as an actress, and not, you often have in documentaries that's called like the voice of God. Someone, there's a lot of authority telling us this is how it is. And I know everything and you don't. And I wanted it more to be a kind of voyage of discovery. She's just one step ahead of us, also discovering in a way everything with the audience. And I think she conveys that very beautifully.
But it was important that it's a woman's voice because it's kind of also your voice, or of some other reason?
No, that's, you say it right. Yeah, that is, she's doing my voice. Yes.
Yeah, it's special film. Really, thank you very much, I would say. I would also invite us to have another applause for the film.
Thank you so much.
I hope many people see it, because I think it's a monument to, of course, the people that you made the film about, also about us, our memories, a very broad memory of Europe and the world, America, and so also a monument to the film and to film expression, let's say. Thank you very much. And good evening.
Thank you. Okay, bye.